We got Morgan. Hey, we welcome Morgan Bogolin, opinion contributor, SuperTalk Mississippi, to Middays. Hey, Morgan, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. So I was reading your article published on our SuperTalk Mississippi website. Next up, future should be focused on empowering the next generation. Tell us what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I work with the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Gulf Coast. I've been here about 7 years and have moved up through the ranks. So I started in direct service with kids, and now work on the administrative side. And after the pandemic, our kids experienced a lot.
Yeah.
Youth violence went up, suicide rates went up. Our kids are struggling. And so, what we have found is that preparing them for what's after high school is what's important. And so, that's work the Boys and Girls Club has always done. But now more than ever, these kids need these wraparound services and they need a plan for their future. And it's not only helping them, but it's going to help us as a community.
Yeah, so you've actually worked with some of these children, right, in that regard, in the Boys and Girls Clubs of the Gulf Coast. You serve as the Senior Director of Operations, so you encounter these young people on a regular basis. What do you see?
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually talking with Ricky Matthews yesterday, and I was telling him we're here on the Gulf Coast, and I think sometimes people get it misconstrued that, this isn't a problem that we have here. But it is. Our kids are coming from communities where they don't have mentors, they don't have the resources that they need, and they're inside of our clubs every day. And
Hmm.
sometimes this isn't the traditional look. Sometimes it's a kid with two parents that work in the medical field. One's a nurse and one's a doctor, and they're working 12-hour shifts. And these kids
Yeah.
need someone who's there in the after school hours so they're not, the latchkey kids that can get involved, in drugs or gang activity or teen pregnancy or, anything that's going to keep them from realizing their full potential.
And the organization, part of the programs, as part of the programs, you try to expose them to things, right, that could benefit them in the future. So, for example, in your article, you say that you partner with local agencies such as University of Southern Mississippi's Gen C program. I had the pleasure of speaking to the president of Southern Miss when I was in Hattiesburg a few months ago, talking about that program, which is world renowned. Honestly, I mean it's incredible, and it is a path to quite productive and bright future.
It absolutely is, and especially here on the Gulf Coast. So we have kids in Boys and Girls Clubs that are 2, 3 miles from the beach, and these children have never seen the beach. I'm not exaggerating. They've never been outside of the little community that they're in. And so Gen Z has been such a notable partnership for us. Tara Skelton is who works with us over there, and we took 30 kids. We got some funding through marine science through NOAA. And these kids have gone on these experiential learning trips every single week this summer, and each one builds off of another. And the resources that Gen Z has been able to offer to these kids, this is access to fleet operations, to Stennis, to Ingalls that we would not have without that partnership. And these kids have discovered a whole new world of jobs that paying them, even after 2 years, they're making upwards of 60, $70,000, and they're right here on the coast.
Wow, that's awesome. So the organization also partners with private sector entities in the area as well, right? You rely on them quite a bit to support the programs.
Yeah, absolutely. So some of our private partners, Mississippi Power has been a great partner of ours. They funded a STEM makerspace program and a multimedia studio in Pastrana here on the coast. And kids, that has opened up an array of careers in broadcast and journalism, and WLOX has partnered with us on that. And so it turns into this feeder program where they're coming into the clubs, they're getting the experience. Hancock Whitney is another great partner. They come in and they're talking with our kids, they're signing up as mentors, and it's feeding directly into their career force. And so these
Hmm.
kids, we've already seen some that have come back and gone to work for Hancock Whitney or other private entities. And it started with the relationships they built at the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah. What about just individuals, Morgan, that might want to work with the Boys and Girls Clubs as a mentor, just as an adult sort of guide to young people?
Sure. Sure. So mentoring is something that Boys and Girls Clubs has always done, but we really expanded on that this last year. We've got some funding for mentoring in response to the teen violence that has really been on a rise here on the Gulf Coast. And so we have a dedicated staff that's been hired, 7 people that have been hired to go out in these different communities. The schools are identifying kids. Harrison County Youth Court is identifying kids, and we're getting mentors in and pairing them based on career interests. And so it's kind of a play on the word pact. The program is called Impact. And so it's having an impact on their lives, but they're also making a pact with each other and their mentor that they're going to stick to this program, and they're going to graduate high school, and they're going to have a plan, a post secondary plan. And so if someone wants to be a mentor, you can go right to our website. It's bgcgulfcoast.org. We have all of the back end training and support that the mentors need, and it's a crucial program here for us.
Yeah. Do you ever run across kids that are just in such deep despair that they come into your program and they've maybe had thoughts of suicide or something in the way of
Absolutely.
just harming themselves? Yeah.
Absolutely. That is something that we see more often than you may think. And so at Boys and Girls Club, our focus is youth development. And so we don't try to reinvent the wheel. We know we can't do it on our own. And so we have partners, and Children's Solutions, Pine Belt Mental Health have been two of those really great partners that come in, and we have a straight line to them. If we're like, hey, we have a kid that needs help, all we got to do is pick up the phone and they're there.
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. So what's on the boards for you? What sort of plans do you have to even expand the mission?
Yeah, so one of our big projects that we're excited about, our organization was founded by Senator Tommy Gillott.
Yeah.
And so we are paying homage to him and opening up a youth opportunity center in Gulfport. It'll be called the
Hmm.
Gillott Youth Opportunity Center. And the idea is that lots of nonprofit serving organizations are going to come together under one roof. So there's wraparound services for these kids all in one building. So Open Doors Homeless Coalition has agreed to come in and focus on teen homelessness. We have Canopy Children's Solutions that has agreed to come in and have an office. Mississippi State Extension 4-H will have an office, as well as the resource room through some funding that they got. And so that's our big project that we're working on. And a huge partner in that is Goodwill. And so
Hmm.
they're coming in and they're going to do some workforce development training with us. We have some virtual reality programming and headsets that we're going to get where kids can actually earn these certifications and things using virtual reality. And so this will all be in one place. If there's a child that has a need, you can send them to the Youth Opportunity Center and it's going to be fulfilled.
Yeah. When you see the influence and the impact the organization has had on children, and maybe you get them on the right path, and then you watch them grow and succeed, how does that feel to you?
That's a different type of feeling. And Ricky asked a similar question yesterday, and I was telling him, we have this program called Youth of the Year. It's the highest honor that a club kid can receive, and they get up and they do this speech in front of donors and stakeholders at our annual meeting, and it's amazing to see the impact of programs like Boys and Girls Club. That intervention and prevention. Now we're focusing on middle schoolers because that's where you can get in, and it's prevention. And
I
so
got you.
seeing the kids go on, we have these success stories that go on for days and days, and we keep up with our kids and we'll share on our Facebook page. We have one that's actually in Korea right now, learning Korean language, going to teach over there. We have one at USM actually that's studying a
Hmm.
project to bring water to kids in Zimbabwe. And so she's doing some research work there, and so it's invaluable. It really is. And a lot of our kids, actually 60% are on scholarship.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Morgan, appreciate you coming on and sharing the story. Great article that you wrote there. Great work you're doing. We appreciate it. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Middays is coming right back in the Element Wealth Studio.